So the drama begins with our male lead and female lead, who have come here to meet, meaning at a restaurant. Here, Shane is handing Susie his card and telling her that their 3-year marriage deal has now ended, and this is her compensation. At the same time, he is also giving her dad's company more investment projects so that her family benefits even more and she never has to worry about anything for the rest of her life. But Susie refuses to accept all this and says that their marriage was just a deal anyway, so she doesn't need any of it, and she doesn't even want to take it. Just then, the assistant arrives and starts telling Shane that if they don't go to get the divorce certificate right now, the office will close. So Shane tells Susie to come along, and as she watches him leave, Susie thinks to herself that their marriage actually happened because of Shane's grandpa, who was very ill and wanted Shane to get married as soon as possible. He then spoke to Susie's dad about this, and since Susie's dad needed help with his company, he immediately arranged for Susie to marry Shane. Susie tells us that in these 3 years of marriage, Shane gave her everything except a real marriage. That is, they were just a contract couple, in which on the very first day after bringing her home, Shane made it clear that they would live in separate rooms. But yes, since she is his legal wife, he would take good care of her. Here, he really did take great care of her. Even when Susie was sick, he would give her medicine on time and personally take care of all her needs. That's why Susie is very happy, feeling that these 3 years have been like a dream for her. Then Shane starts calling out to her, so Susie says, "I'm coming." And then both of them come back with their divorce certificate. And then Shane says to Susie, "Come on, I'll drop you off in my car." But she replies, No, I've already booked a cab and I'll go on my own. You take care of yourself too." So Shane says, "No matter what, I still want to thank you for fulfilling my grandpa's wish." Alright then, if you don't want to accept anything involving money from me, that's okay. But I still want to make you a promise that if you ever need me in the future, you can let me know. I will always be there to help you and I'll go to any lengths to support you because after all, you are now my ex-wife. Then she laughs and says, "Oh really, I don't need anything. You've already done so much, that's more than enough. I just hope that from now on, we can remain good friends." And then she turns to the other side. So then Shane gets into his car and drives away, and Susie just watches him leave, feeling emotional, thinking that you are the most perfect ex-husband in the world. And then as she starts to walk away, she keeps thinking that you'll never know that these 3 years of marriage I spent with you were the best years of my life. Then Gia goes to her dad's house and starts telling him that her and Shane's divorce is finalized. He looks at the certificate, throws it away, and starts yelling, "You really are so useless? Even in 3 years you couldn't make this marriage real?" Susie starts telling her dad, "You already knew that this marriage was just in name, and anyway, why would a man like Mr. Shane ever like me?" Her dad replies, "Then you should have found a way. Have you forgotten how powerful he is, and how much our family could have risen because of him?" Then the stepmom starts saying, "I had already said that instead of her, we should have married our daughter Yao to Shane." So the dad says, "That's what I wanted too. But it was Mr. Shane's grandpa's wish that his grandson marry Susie." Then they start asking Susie, "Tell us, in the 3 years you were married to him, what benefits did you bring back with you?" Susie replies, "Nothing at all. And anyway, at the time of our marriage, he had already given you a lot of money, so there's no need for him to give anymore." So her dad yells at her, "You really are so useless." Now here, Gia's stepsister Yao starts asking her, "By the way, is it really true that in these 3 years, Mr. Shan didn't even touch you? Does he have some kind of illness or something?" Susie replies, "Absolutely not. He respected me. He's a really good man. So don't talk nonsense about him." Yao laughs and says, "You're such a big idiot. He kicked you out and you're still defending him." Then here, Gia's dad starts explaining to her that now that you've gotten a divorce, I'll talk to Mr. Han, the guy who was interested in marrying you before, about your marriage with him. Then our company's deal will also go through. You should go on a blind date with him in a few days. Susie says, "Dad, what are you saying? I've just gotten divorced." So her dad yells, "So what? Look, I'm telling you, here things will go my way, and I'm the one managing your mom's company. So what do you want for the company to be ruined?" So then she's unable to say anything. On the other side, we see Shan, whose assistant is asking him about his and Susie's marriage, saying that it lasted 3 years. So is he really going to divorce her and live separately? Then he starts saying, "Anyway, ours was just a contract marriage, and have you ever seen me cross the line? Besides, she never even liked me anyway." And then he comes home, and as he's about to drink some water, he notices a cute little sticker on the glass. Seeing it, he remembers that Susie had put it there and told him that everything in his house was so boring, so she was adding a bit of cuteness. While he's thinking about her, he suddenly finds Susie's bracelet on the sofa, and he thinks to himself, "It's been 3 years, but you still haven't gotten over your habit of forgetting things." Then the next morning, when Shane is getting ready to go to the office, he's looking for one of his black cufflinks, but he can't find it. So he starts asking the maid auntie where it is kept, The maid auntie tells him that Susie used to take care of all his things, so only she would know. So Shane then calls Susie to ask her about it. She is there with her blind date and tells him that she needs to take a call, then steps aside to talk to him. So then he asks her. Susie immediately tells him where one of his cufflinks might be, and Shane finds it right away, then hangs up the call. Here, Susie's blind date Han starts asking her who she was talking to. She tells him that it was a friend of hers. Han says, "Look, I'll get straight to the point. 3 years ago, I liked you, but you married someone else. And now you've been dumped, but you're still beautiful. That's why your parents sold you to me at a good price. That's why I have agreed to marry you now." He starts explaining to her that after marrying him, she will have to serve him properly. "Every day you will serve me tea and water, wash my feet, and also take care of my family. Because now you're just a second-hand woman. And I'm telling you, I only liked you 3 years ago. That's the only reason I'm marrying you." He says, "Anyway, your ex-husband surely wasn't a good person, and he definitely couldn't be better than me." Susie says that he is actually a very good person. It's just that I'm not worthy of him. He says, "Fine then, from now on you follow me. You'll see. Then you'll believe that you won't find a better man than me anywhere." Then he starts telling her, "By the way, I have to go to a party, so you'll come with me as my date. And yes, dress up nicely, don't embarrass me." And then he leaves from there. Susie thinks that even if she doesn't marry him, her dad will still get her married to someone or the other. So she decides that it's better for her to just settle down. Then, as soon as they arrive at the party, the waiter is serving coffee to everyone and announcing that it's from Mr. Shen's family. Susie starts thinking after hearing the name of Shen's family. Then Han, while handing her coffee, says, "Don't you know about Mr. Shen? He's basically the boss of the industry. Seriously, you're so clueless." Then some girls here start asking Han about her. "Who is she? We've never seen her before." Then Han starts explaining, "She's my fiancée, arranged by my family. Her family isn't below mine, but yes, she's just a divorcee." Susie then looks at the coffee and starts remembering Shen, thinking about how Shen used to make her coffee too. Just as she's lost in thought, Han asks, "What are you doing?" Susie then starts apologizing to him again, and just then there's an announcement at the party about Shen's arrival and he comes in walking with a girl. Seeing this, Han says, "Mr. Shen has never brought a girl to a party like this before. So this must be the girl he's in love with." So Susie then starts looking at that girl and thinks to herself, so he wanted to marry this type of girl, and now he's finally going to do it. Then Han quickly grabs a drink and goes over to Shen, starting a conversation. "Mr. Shen, I am my company's famous salesman, and I want to do a business deal with you. This would be a huge opportunity for me." As he says this, he tries to toast drinks with him. Just then, the girl who came with Shen, Miss Fang, says to him, "By the way, this party is to celebrate my return from abroad, but it doesn't seem like you came here to welcome me." So then he says, "How could that be possible?" He quickly grabs Susie and brings her over, saying, "This is my date, and I really did come here to welcome you at your party." Shen then looks at Susie, and Han starts to explain that her name is Susie, and she is his fiancée. Shen is shocked to hear the word fiancée. Then when Susie tries to say something, Han stops her, telling her there's no need for her to say anything. "Why don't you understand your own level?" He then continues talking to Shen. But Shen is noticing Susie, thinking that maybe she has a stomach ache. Then she tells Han that she needs to go to the washroom and quickly leaves. Next, we see Susie in the washroom, checking her clothes for stains, and then she immediately calls Han and asks him, "Can you help me with something?" He replies, "Look, I'm busy right now, don't bother me," and hangs up the call. But just then, Shen comes to Susie and covers her with his coat. Then Shen silently hands Susie a bag and starts saying to her, "Are you really thinking of marrying a man like that? If he really is your fiancé, then I think you should reconsider. He's not trustworthy at all, and on top of that, did you see the way he was talking to you?" Susie says, "We're already divorced, so don't worry about it." Then he says, "So what? After all, legally, you're still my ex-wife, aren't you? I don't want you to ruin your life for someone else like this." Then Susie is about to say something to him. But just then, Miss Fang arrives, looking for Shen. She starts asking, "What are you doing here?" "Daddy is waiting for us in the lobby." And she takes him by the hand and leaves. So Susie just watches them and thinks that their relationship has progressed so much that they're even meeting each other's parents now. Then just at that moment, Susie gets a message from Han. He tells her that he has some work to do, so he's leaving. He says, "You can come by yourself. There's a subway station nearby." Then the cleaner auntie nearby starts saying to Susie, "That guy who was helping you, he was your boyfriend, right? You really have such a nice boyfriend." Saying this, she leaves, and Susie thinks to herself that he isn't my boyfriend, but actually my ex-husband. Then after coming home, Susie washes Shen's coat and is carefully ironing it, thinking to herself that you really are such a good person. It's just that I'm not that lucky. Just then, Susie's dad comes to talk to her and asks, "How did your conversation with Han go at the party today? I know he still has feelings for you." Susie asks, "Dad, do I really have to marry that Han? I don't think he's a good person." At this, her dad immediately starts yelling at her, saying, "How many people have you even met so far that you think you know who's good and who's not?" He tells her not to even think about not marrying Han because he has a lot of business deals and such to do with Han. So Susie says that from childhood until now, you've never cared about my feelings and have always believed my stepmom and stepsister. But after all, this is about my marriage. This is a very big deal. Once you made me your bargaining chip, but not again and again. Then her dad starts yelling, asking how she can talk to him like this. Susie starts saying, "Dad, all I want to say is that I don't want to marry him." Then her dad starts hitting her, saying, "How dare you?" He warns her that she will have to get married, otherwise the company will go bankrupt. He says, "Don't you care about your mom? It was your mom's company, wasn't it?" And saying this, he leaves. Then crying, Susie looks at her mom's photo, remembers her, and thinks, "I can't let the company my mom worked so hard to build be ruined like this, so I have to go through with this marriage." Just then, Susie gets a message from Shen. He tells her that she left some of her things at his house, so she should come and get them. Susie agrees, saying, "Yes, I also needed to return your coat, so I'll come over." When Susie goes to meet Shane, Shane says to her, "You look quite thin." He says it seems like she's preparing for the wedding, so she doesn't really understand. And here, Shane then says to her, "You said you were going to return my coat to me." So she quickly starts to give him the bag. Just then, Shane notices the injury on Susie's hand and asks if she's not feeling well these days. Susie quickly hides it and doesn't tell him anything. So Shane then says to her, "Well, it was just a piece of clothing, so what was the need for you to come and return it personally?" Susie quietly replies, "Well, you also came here yourself, didn't you?" And then, as Susie looks down, he says, "Why have you become so timid and scared? You weren't like this in the 3 years of our marriage." He reminds Susie of how she used to be, how she would roam around freely and carry whatever she liked. He asks, "Why have you changed so much? You used to be so bold and carefree before?" Susie can't say anything, so Shane asks if someone is bullying her. To this she says, "No." Shane asks her again if she has really decided to marry that Han. To this she smiles and says yes and tells him not to worry, that he's a really good person. Shane says, "How can I not worry? Last time at the party he was insulting you so much. Just think, a guy who doesn't even know how to respect women. How will he ever take care of you?" But Susie still says that no matter what, she will marry Han. She says, "By the way, you came to return something of mine, right?" So Shane hides her bracelet and says, No, I was mistaken. I thought it was something of yours." He tells her, "I'm transferring 10 million into your account. Look, don't be in such a hurry to return it to me right now. I know you don't need it at the moment, but just keep it with you. Who knows, maybe you'll need it someday. If you don't need it, then you can return it to me after a year. But until then, keep it with you so I don't have to worry." So then Susie can't refuse him and says that she should get going now. At home, Dad and Han are waiting for me to discuss the wedding, and she quickly starts to leave. So after finishing his tea, Shane decides to meet Susie, and as soon as he rushes outside, he calls out her name. So Susie turns around and he is saying something to her, but Susie can't hear it. Then he crosses the road and comes up to her and starts saying, "Just remember that the promise I made to you, I will definitely keep it. So even now, if you ever need me or if anyone ever mistreats you, please remember me and come to me." Susie says, "No, we don't need to meet in the future." And she starts to leave, thinking, "I just want to wish you good luck and hope you are always happy with Miss Fang." And then Shane starts wondering, "You said we would stay friends, so why have you suddenly become so cold towards me?" Just then, Shane's assistant says to him, "Boss, you like Miss Susie so much, so why don't you try to win her over?" So Shane replies, "Because she doesn't like me." Then when Susie reaches home, she sees that Han has come to her house, and he and her dad are sitting together, drinking and talking. Right now, Susie is going upstairs towards the staircase. Just then, Yao sees her and says, "Sister, look, brother-in-law is here, so where are you going?" Hearing brother-in-law, she starts to ask about it. Then the stepmom says, "After all, you two are about to get married, so soon we'll all be family." Just then Han goes over, takes Susie's hand and says to her, "Why are you hiding? Come over here. And by the way, tell me, my soon-to-be wife, where did you go just now? You didn't go to meet some secret lover, did you?" At this point, Susie's dad says, "Don't worry. After all, she's a divorcee woman. Who would even like her?" So Han says, "That's true." Then Susie says, "If you listen to me properly and behave well, I'll give you a reward every day. Every day, you'll get to serve me." He says this while laughing. Susie pushes him, so he says, "Why are you pretending to be so good? After all, what kind of relationship did you have with your ex-husband?" Susie starts shouting, "Don't say such things about him. There was nothing like that between us." So he says, "Don't talk about your ex-husband in front of me." Then Susie's dad yells at her, "Come on, quickly serve Han a drink now." Susie isn't listening, so her dad threatens her that if she doesn't obey, he'll go and dig up her mom's grave and throw away her ashes. So Susie gives in and serves Han a drink here. Just then, after taking the drink, Han tries to force Susie to drink as well, so she quickly runs away. Here, Susie's dad then tells Han that she is now going to be his wife, so he can do whatever he wants with her. Later, when Susie is in her room, Han comes in. Susie tries to push him away, but he doesn't listen and says that her dad has already given her to him. At that moment, Susie remembers that Shane had told her that if she was ever in trouble or if anyone mistreated her, she could come to him. Thinking about him, she smashes a bottle on Han's head and quickly escapes from there. Han then starts chasing after her, and then we see that Susie, while running, comes out onto the road and Han is still chasing after her. At the same time, we see that Shane is also coming there by car, thinking about Susie, and just then he spots her. He immediately gets out of his car and starts following her as well. But she isn't able to meet him, and at this point Ultra Han catches Susie and stops her, starting to choke her. She tries to escape from him again, but suddenly she gets hit by a car. On the other hand, Shane is at his home, looking at Susie's clothes and thinking about her. In the flashback, we are shown that whenever he saw Susie doing many things, he would just keep watching her. Sometimes she would be playing with the dog, and once on Shane's birthday, he wasn't celebrating his own birthday. That's when Susie brought a cake for him. How could he possibly go without celebrating his birthday? Shane was really surprised by this and he was very happy. Shane keeps thinking about this, and as a few days pass, we see that Susie finally regains consciousness in the hospital. At that moment, she overhears two nurses talking, who are saying that this girl had been in a coma for 3 months, and no matter how hard we tried to contact her family members, no one seemed to care about her. It's a good thing our hospital director is such a helpful person. That's the only reason this girl is allowed to stay here. Then Susie gets up and finds her phone there. So she turns on her phone and sees that her dad has messaged her, saying that if she doesn't marry Han and keeps hiding like this, then she will be of no use to them. And now they no longer consider her their daughter. Susie is already feeling upset after reading this, when she sees a message from Shen as well. Shen had messaged her several times, asking how she was, if she was okay, and telling her to take care of herself. He also messaged her saying, "You said that after the divorce we would remain friends, so why aren't you replying to me at all?" Susie wonders to herself that since he and Miss Fang are already dating, why is he still worried about her? Then the next day we see Shen driving his car to the office, and at the same time Susie passes by as well. But at that moment he rolls up his window and doesn't see her, and he keeps wondering why she is still so cold towards him. Just then his assistant asks, "Boss, why did you get Mr. Han promoted?" So Shen tells him that it was because of Susie. Now that Susie has decided to marry him, he wants Susie to have a good life. Then we see Susie as she's leaving, thinking that now she has to find a place to live because she can't go to Shen's house anymore. She thinks it's a good thing Shen gave her some money. I had thought that maybe I would never use it. I didn't know that a day would actually come when I would have to use that money. Susie then checks her account here and is shocked to see that she doesn't have any money. She remembers that Shen had told her he transferred 10 million into her account. Then she immediately calls her dad and asks him if he took her money. He yells back saying, how dare you call me? Anyway, your money is my money, so what if I took it? Susie says, but I really need money right now. At least give me a little bit. But still, her dad refuses and says, anyway, I already paid your hospital bill, so consider that as the money I gave you, and then he hangs up the call. But Susie thinks, but the hospital bill was actually paid by the hospital director. Then we see that Susie has gotten a job at a cafe shop, and she is very happy that Shen had taught her how to make coffee. That's why she easily got the job here. She feels happy doing her work. Just then, her boss tells her that they've received a big order and she should go deliver the coffee right away. And he adds that it's for Shen's company. Hearing this, she is shocked, but then she has to go deliver the coffee there. When she reaches the company, she thinks it's not necessary that I'll run into him on the way. And then, after arriving at the company, Susie calls to ask if their coffee has arrived. Just then, a guy in a hurry bumps into her and all the coffee spills on the floor. Then the girl who had come to get the coffee starts yelling at Susie, asking what she has done now. So many people were waiting for their coffee. Now you'll have to pay for it yourself. So Susie starts explaining that she doesn't have any money at all right now. So should she wait until her salary comes in? Then the girl says, why should I care if you don't have any money? Don't you know such a basic thing that if you break something, you have to pay for it? Susie says, I know, but I really don't have any money right now. Susie takes out a little money from what she has and tries to give it, saying that apart from this, she really has nothing else. Then the girl says, do you think I'm a fool? If you leave from here right now, I know I'll never get my money back for the rest of my life. Here, Susie starts pleading with her to at least give her a little more time. But the girl doesn't agree and says, what are you doing? She says, I'll call the police right now. Just then, the sound of Shen arriving is heard. He is asking what's going on here. As soon as Susie hears his voice, she quickly turns the other way. As soon as Shen arrives, he asks his employee how she can talk to someone like that. He explains to her that she is an employee of his company. He asks, are you so short of money that you would take advantage of someone's helplessness? If she didn't have the money, you could have given her a little more time, couldn't you? Then Shen tells her that she doesn't need to make the payment. So without saying anything, Susie quickly leaves from there. And just then, Shen notices the sticker on the money she gave him and is shocked, wondering if that was Susie. He then tells his assistant to find out about this. After coming home, he looks at that same note and reminisces about his old times with Susie, remembering how when she used to paint, she would include him as well. Remembering this, he starts to smile. And just then, he gets a call from his assistant, who tells him that the woman at the company was none other than his ex-wife, Susie. Hearing this, Shen is quite shocked, and the assistant goes on to tell him that Susie is currently working at a coffee shop, and just 3 months ago she had a very serious car accident and was in a coma for 3 months, and she was only recently discharged. And right now, her life is not going well at all. Shen asks if they found out where she is living now. The assistant replies no. Shen says, then come with me to her workplace tomorrow. The assistant says, but boss, you have an important meeting tomorrow. So Shen shouts here and says, then cancel the meeting. And then he starts getting upset thinking about Susie. The next day, Shen arrives in front of the cafe where Susie works, along with his assistant. The assistant is telling him this and asks, boss, aren't you going to go inside? So Shen says that she would never want her ex-husband to see her in this state, so I shouldn't go in. Shen is about to leave from there when he suddenly sees Han coming with another girl. He thinks, isn't this Susie's fiancé? He's walking around with another girl. But why? Then we see that Han is actually with Susie's sister Yao, and he brings her to the cafe and calls the waiter to place their order. As soon as Susie sees them, she is shocked. Han is also shocked to see her and asks, what are you doing here? Weren't you hit by a car? Yao also says, but you said she was dead. Then how is she here now? Susie then asks her stepsister Yao, earlier, you didn't want to marry Han. What happened now? Why did you agree? So Yao starts explaining that Han got a promotion 3 months ago. That's why she agreed. So after hearing this, Susie realizes, oh, so that's the reason. She says to Han, well, you know very well what kind of person you are. At that moment, Shen also arrives and starts listening to Susie's conversation. Then Han starts yelling at Susie, telling her not to accuse him of anything. And yes, by the way, I only agreed to marry you out of pity, got it? So Susie says, it seems you've forgotten what you said 3 months ago. Han gets angry again. He is about to raise his hand against Susie, but Shen quickly steps in and stops him. Then Shen starts yelling at Han, saying that as her partner, it was your responsibility to take care of her, to stand by her, and to help her. But you betrayed her, broke her trust, and never respected her. So Han is now afraid of Shen and can't say anything. Just then, Yao sees Shen and starts asking what he is doing here. She is about to accidentally mention his and Susie's divorce. At that moment, Han asks, do you know Mr. Shen? So Yao starts thinking about how Shen had threatened her and her parents, saying that if any of them revealed the truth about his and Susie's fake marriage, there would be consequences. He wouldn't spare them? Remembering this, Yao gets scared and says, absolutely not, I don't know Mr. Shen at all. Han says, Mr. Shen, it seems you don't recognize me? He continues, I'm actually the same branch manager whom you promoted. He adds, it seems there's some misunderstanding about me right now. He then says, now let go of my hand or else it might break. Shen says to him, I just saw with my own eyes that you were about to raise your hand against a woman, and you're saying that I'm misinterpreting you? Then Han says, oh, you're talking about her? He continues, she is my ex-fiancée who betrayed me before our wedding. She ran away with someone else. After hearing this, Shen looks at Susie and she hides her face. He starts saying to her, so that means you didn't get married? Then Han says, Mr. Shen, just think, why would I marry a girl like her? And anyway, what kind of divorcee would she be? Shen is getting angry again. But here, Han also starts taunting Susie, saying, you should be happy that Mr. Shen came here, otherwise I would have hit you even more. Then Han just keeps on talking. At that moment, Yao quickly starts taking him away. Then, as Susie is trying to avoid Shen again and walk away, he tells her to turn around, brings her with him to the car, and tells his assistant to step outside because he wants to talk to Susie alone. Then Shen asks Susie why she is working at the coffee shop. Didn't he already give her money? So then Susie tells him that since she didn't marry Han, her dad broke all ties with her and took back all the money he had given her. That's why she had to work here, so she could earn money and support herself. Shen asks, what about the accident? I heard about this and I messaged you so many times but you didn't even reply. Susie pulls her hand away and starts saying that there's no relationship between us anymore, so why would I tell you all this? Shen says, alright, fine. One last question. When your life became so miserable, why didn't you come to me? When we got divorced, I promised to give you the house, money, and car, but you didn't take anything. So are you living this whole suffering-filled life just to be free? So Susie says, what's the problem with my life anyway? I'm happy. Then Han starts trying to explain to her that she has to work so hard here. On top of that, she's living in a really cheap rental house, and here Han is also bothering her. So he asks if all these things are really good. Susie tells him that she's happy with her life, so she doesn't think there's any problem with it. Then Shen is asking Susie again that he wants to know everything she's faced in her life so far. He says, "Explain everything to me in detail." Susie refuses and says that she has to go, she has work to do. Then here, Shen comes close to Susie and starts fastening her seatbelt. So she asks, "What are you trying to do?" "I haven't even gotten off work yet." So Shen says, "When you're with me, you can take time off whenever you want." And then he tells the assistant to drive and bring Susie to his house. He brings her a glass of milk and then goes to take off her shoes. But Susie refuses, saying, "I'll do it myself." But he still doesn't listen and changes her shoes for her. Susie asks, "Now what?" He says, "You sit here, I'm going to cook for you." Then here, Susie sees a photo frame placed on his table, in which there is a photo of him and that same girl, Fang. Seeing this, she becomes upset. Then Shen serves her noodles. At that moment, Susie notices that the bowl he gave her has the same sticker on it that she had put there. She feels happy and thinks that it feels just like we've gone back to the way things were 3 years ago. Shen then asks Susie, "Do you trust me?" Susie replies, "Yes, I trust you." He says, "All right, then will you tell me what all things you have faced? I want to know everything." Then Susie tells him that 3 months ago, when she and Shen met, the day she came to return his coat, Han was very drunk and had come to her house, and at that time he tried to harass her. Shen asks, "And then what happened?" So Susie explains how she hit him and ran away, and while running on the road, she had an accident and was in a coma for 3 months. And then she found out that someone from the hospital had helped her by paying her bills. After hearing all this, Shen feels very upset and tells Susie that he wants to take revenge on those people for her. Whether it's Han, your dad, your stepmom, or your stepsister, "I will take revenge on all of them, and they will have to pay for what they did to you." Susie says, "But there's nothing between us, so why are you doing all this?" "If that's not the case, then why are you doing all this?" So he says, "Just think of me as your access band. I told you, didn't I, that I want you to be happy for your entire life. That's all I want." So Susie says, "Thank you for all this, but I don't want any revenge. I'm happy in my life and I feel like everything is going just fine." Roshan starts explaining that he knows what kind of person your dad is, that he forced you in your mom's name after her grief, and I also know about Vahan. He will definitely come back to trouble you again. I don't want those people to bother you like this, and I don't want you to live your whole life with this trauma. All of this will have a big impact on your life. She doesn't say anything, and Chen is thinking that if she just says one word, given her position as his wife, she could take any revenge she wants and ask for anything. Then Susie starts to say, "I never thought about revenge." Shane says, "I know you're scared that you might end up hurting yourself even more. That's why I'm telling you to leave everything to me. I'll take revenge for you. You're my ex-wife, and just think, you're also Rehan's boss. And right now, the 3 members of your family won't tell anyone about our marriage, so I am a very good option for you to use as a weapon." That he's about to marry Miss Fang, but even then, why is he still being so good to me? Isn't he afraid that if he treats me so well, I won't be able to leave him? At the same time, Shahan is also thinking, "I don't know why you're pushing me so far away, but whatever the case, I want to provide some value in your life." Then she says to him, in all of this, "What benefit do you get? Why are you doing so much for me?" To which he replies, "Look, I'm a businessman, so I don't do things without a benefit." She thought that maybe he would be interested in her, that he liked her, but that wasn't the case at all. Then she asks, "Okay, so what's your plan? You have so much power that you could easily control him, right? There's no rush. I'll let him fly for a while. After I froze, I'll clip his wings and turn him into a dog for a new path." So then she just keeps looking at him, and then Shane asks, "Did I scare you?" Suzuki says, "No, on the contrary, this is the first time I'm seeing you like this." She asks, "So after taking revenge?" He replies, "We'll think about what comes after that later. That you can think about it in your own bedroom. Your things are still there." Hearing this, she is shocked, so Shane makes an excuse, saying he was very busy and didn't have time to remove them. She thinks to herself that he could have just asked the maid to do it. She says, "I can't sleep in the bedroom. I'll sleep on the sofa because it wouldn't feel right to sleep in the bedroom." So he says, "I'm not that bad that I would degrade my ex-wife so much that she'd have to sleep in the living room." Susie says, "But one day your new life will start, right?" So he explains to her that no other woman has come here except you. So what are you worried about? You must be tired, so go rest in the room. Then Susie goes to her room. Shenya is at home, upset and drinking, when he gets a call from Miss Feng. She pushes him, asking, "Will you come out? We'll go out drinking with some friends." He refuses, so she asks, "What's wrong with you?" Then he starts crying and says, "Sister, I..." He says he regrets his divorce, and here we find out that Feng is actually his sister. The next morning, Suji is about to leave for work when Shenya starts talking to her. Suji tells him that yes, she likes working at the coffee shop, so she has to be on time. Then Shenya tells Suji that he has now bought that coffee shop, and now the whole shop belongs to her. She is her own boss now, so she can handle the shop however she wants. Hearing this, Suji is quite surprised and asks him why he bought the shop after all. He says, "For you, so that you can make coffee for me every day and call me." Then Shenya takes Suji by the hand and brings her into the coffee shop. She makes him his favorite coffee, and he says, "Yes, it's made well." Suji says, "Alright, then I'll get to work." Just then, Gaia enters the coffee shop. Shen calls out, "Sia, come here." She says, "You called me? What happened? Wouldn't you like to have coffee with me?" He replies, No, it would be my good fortune." She comes over and sits down, and then Suji also brings her coffee and gives it to her before heading off. Sia then asks Shen, "Mr. Shen, did you come here for Suji?" He says, "Of course not. She's just my ex-wife. And you know why we got divorced." Sia responds, "Yes, you're absolutely right. That's not really." She asks, "By the way, then why did you come here?" He replies, "Why didn't you think that I came here for you?" She gets startled and says, "I haven't told anyone about your and Susie's divorce, not even Han." Then Shen says, "Don't you think you're so talented? You're so beautiful and so good. So why are you dating that Han? That's all I've been thinking about." She wonders what he's saying and thinks to herself, "Could it be that he's interested in me?" She says, "I don't understand what you mean by chemistry." Shen Faria then asks her, "Since you keep coming here, would you like to become my personal companion?" She replies, "Mr. Shen, are you joking?" He says, "Do I seem so free to you that I would sit here making jokes like this? Or is it that you just don't have confidence in yourself?" She doesn't feel comfortable and says, No, it's not like that, I'm interested," while thinking to herself. She thinks, "Mr. Shen wants to make me his personal companion. Doesn't that mean he's interested in making me his girlfriend?" She becomes extremely happy, thinking her life will be set if that happens. Then she asks, "Shen, is there anything else about chemistry?" Shen is pleased and starts to say, "No, that's all, unless there's a problem." She replies, "Then what are you waiting for? If you say yes, I'll cut off all other ties." And the main thing is, she thinks, there isn't even any real relationship between me and him yet. Then, as Shen continues to charm her with his words, he gives her a task and begins to explain it to her. Because he works at her company, and all the things he's doing could ruin her reputation as well. So he says, "I just need a little help from you to collect evidence against Han about what exactly he's done. If you can do this, I'll give you 10 million. Hearing this, she becomes happy and thinks, "Dad gives me so little money, and with so much money, I could have so much fun." She agrees. And after talking again, Yao leaves from there, and then Shane comes to help Susie and says, "Here's some cold water. I'll help you with the law." At that moment, Susie asks him, "What were you talking about with her just now?" Shane explains, "You know how simple Yao is, she doesn't think much. She just framed Han out of greed for money because she got promoted. And now that she'll get even more money, just imagine, she could even ruin that place for the sake of money." Then Susie asks to confirm, "Don't you have to go to your office?" He replies, "No." So she says, "Aren't you going to meet Miss Fang?" He asks, "Why would I go meet her?" She thinks, "What's the big deal? After all, I'm just his ex-wife, so is he ignoring his current partner for me?" Susie takes the work from him and says, "I'll handle things here, you can go." He responds, "Do you really want to get rid of me that badly?" "So you don't want to see me? Fine, all right, I'm leaving. Then I'll come pick you up in the evening." On the other side, we see her here, who is planning to call Han over, and she's thinking that if she does Shen's work and wins his trust, who knows, maybe he'll make her his wife. She's getting really happy about this, and then Han arrives to meet her. While talking to him, she makes him drink a lot and starts asking him all sorts of questions. She starts asking how exactly Susie's accident happened, what he did. So, after getting drunk, he tells her everything, that he was the one who caused the accident. Yao records all of his confessions. Next, we see that Asian once again tries to change Susie's shoes, but she stops him saying, "This time, I'll really do it myself." Shen asks, "What's wrong? I used to do it before too, didn't I?" "Earlier, you were at least my husband in name, but now you're just an accessory too," Shen says. "Then you're being ungrateful." As he starts to go inside, Susie asks, "Will you come to the coffee shop every day?" He replies, "Why would I need to come? You must be so busy." Then Shen comes very close to her and starts asking, "Do you really want to go back on your word now? We talked about this, right? That I would come to drink coffee every day?" Susie says, "I meant that you have such a big company to run. If you're not there, how will it work?" So he says, "Don't worry about the cafe. The people in my company aren't that stupid." Then he starts looking at her. Susie goes to make coffee and says, "It's gotten quite late. I need to go take a shower." Then we see that Shen is on a call with his assistant, when suddenly he hears the sound of something falling. He quickly comes over to Susie, adjusts her clothes, and quickly helps her up, seating her down. Then he immediately starts applying medicine to Susie's injury. As Susie watches him, she remembers how he used to do the same thing before when she got hurt. Just then, seeing her smile, Shen also looks at her. Susie asks, "What is it?" He comes closer and asks, "Can I kiss you?" Then he starts kissing Susie. Suddenly she quickly stops him and says, "This isn't right. We're just ex-husband and wife now." So she refuses him and tells him to go outside. Yes, even when he tries to persuade her by holding her hand, Susie still doesn't agree. Then Shen goes outside, and just then, he gets a call from Yaho. She starts telling him everything that Han told her, and that she recorded all of it. Next, we see Yaho arriving at the station to meet him, and she gives him the recorder. After taking the recorder, he destroys it, and says that there are 10 million in it. Overjoyed, she quickly thanks him. Then Shen discusses with her, saying, now she must know what Han wants to do with her. She replies, "Yes, I'll cut all ties with him." And then, feeling happy, she comes outside, and just then Han calls her. She says, "Why did you call me? I'm already cutting ties with you." He asks, "What's wrong with you? Did you get the map or something?" Then she shouts, "How can you say that alone right now? Anyway, I don't even like you. And I was just pitying you. That's why I was dating you, but not anymore. Now you're not worthy of me at all." Tohan starts saying that you have to give me a perfect reason first, otherwise it's not right. So she says, "Then just take it that Susie told me everything about you, how you're trash and how you're a psycho." She says, "Enough, stop this nonsense. I'm just telling you that we're broken up." And after cutting his call, she's here just dreaming about marrying Shane. Then yes, here he gets angry at Susie for exposing him as trash. He says, "That second-hand guy, now I won't spare her." Then he calls one of his clients and starts telling him that he wants to give him a beautiful woman and that he will really like Susie. Then we see that the next day, yes, he goes to meet Susie and tries to talk to her, but Susie is ignoring him. So he forcefully grabs her, makes her sit in his car, and takes her to a... On the other hand, Shane goes to the coffee shop to meet Susie, but she isn't there, and he can't reach her by phone either. So he gets worried and immediately starts trying to find out about her. Here, we see that Han has sold Susie to a client and has already given her the drug. Then, that man arrives, but before he can do anything, Shane arrives just in time and starts beating him up badly, teaching him a lesson. Scooter tells him to take her away from there, and after everyone leaves, as soon as Shane turns towards Susie, she suddenly hugs him and asks why it took him so long to come to Shantu. Shane is quite shocked, and he sees that Susie already recognizes him. She says she missed him so much, and then Shane and she spend the night together. After that, Shane brings Susie to his home, and seeing Susie safe, he calls Yaha, who becomes happy. The chemistry between Shane and Susie is finally apparent. He starts telling her that now he wants her dad's company. He asks her to somehow get her dad to sign the papers. She says, "How can I do that? The company is the most important thing to my dad, and you're putting me in a difficult position." Shankar says, "I was actually thinking of introducing you to my family, but it seems like you don't want that." Hearing this, she quickly agrees and says, "All right, I'll do something." And then Shane hangs up the call and is feeling happy, while on the other side, she is guessing that if she does Shane's work and makes him happy, then he will introduce her to his family, and she will finally be able to become his wife. Then in the morning, when Susie wakes up, she is shocked to see Shane there and asks, "How did I end up here?" He says to her, "Did you forget?" Susie remembers a few things and asks, "Did we spend the night together?" Shane says, "Yes." Then Susie starts to remember things and she feels embarrassed. She had absolutely no idea what had happened, and now they can just pretend as if nothing ever happened. Then Shania starts talking to Susie, suggesting why don't they get married again. After all, if they can get married a second time, then why not? Hearing this, she is shocked and thinks, does he want to keep both me and Miss Fung on his side? That's why she doesn't agree with Shane at all, and Shane just wants things to go his way. Then, the next morning, as she is getting ready to leave, Shane says, come on, I'll drop you off. But she insists, no, I'll go by taxi. And then looking at a photo of her and her sister's friend, she starts to say, how long is this revenge plan of yours going to last? So Shane says, do you want to see me take revenge on them as soon as possible, or do you want to go away from me? Sushi replies, look, all I want is for both of us to get back to our normal lives. Shane says, all right, I get it. You don't want me to drop you off, so just promise me one thing. When I come with you and someone says something to you, you shouldn't just take it. You have to talk back to them. Just understand this. If someone hits you, you have to hit them back. There's nothing to be afraid of, because I'm with you. Susie then agrees with him. When she arrives at her coffee shop, she sees that there's quite a crowd, and inside, Harna has broken a lot of things. So she goes up to him and asks what he's doing. He says, you've become really capable now, haven't you? But he keeps taunting her and says, what can you even do to me? Are you going to hit me? Just then, we see that Shane has also arrived in the crowd, and Susie slaps the guy. So he shouts, you hit me! And then she slaps him again and says, if you mess with me, you won't get away with it. He gets scared and says, I'll deal with you later, and storms off angrily. Susie is feeling quite proud of herself, and seeing all this, Shane is happy too. Now she's become a little wildcat, and Susie is happy that taking her revenge and hitting him made her feel so good. Then we see that Shane is leaving, and his assistant wonders why the boss didn't go inside after all. Shane explains that he wants to see Susie stand up for herself so that she can protect herself even when he's not around. Just then, Susie messages him to say that she's transferred her dad's company into her own name. After reading the message, Shane thinks to himself how stupid she is. Next, we see that Shane has cooked a meal at home for Susie, and Susie is quite shocked to see this. Shane and Susie talk together. She tells him how she managed to get her dad's company transferred to her own name with Yao's help. Just then, Shane gets a call from his sister, so he starts talking to her on the phone. And then Susie steps away from everyone for a bit, and starts thinking that maybe she should move out and shift to another house. She is about to say something more, but suddenly she feels nauseous, so she quickly runs to the bathroom. She becomes suspicious, so she immediately takes a test, and finds out that she is pregnant. She is shocked, realizing that it happened because of that night. She starts thinking that she can't keep the baby because Shane is already in a relationship, and she can't ruin his relationship. After that, when she leaves for the office, she ignores Shane and quickly rushes out. Later, when Susie is at the coffee shop, Ya comes to ask her if Mr. Shane comes there. Susie asks her why she's asking about him, so Ya starts to explain, is he your ex's bank? Then don't even think about getting back into a relationship with him. This makes Susie remember that Kishan had told her. Now Esther is thinking about marrying Shane, so if she says anything related to that, Susie should just act like she doesn't know anything about it. Then Ya starts telling her that Shane is going to marry Esther, but Susie behaves as if she doesn't care at all. After all, they're exes now. Ya gets annoyed because she came to make Susie jealous, but Susie doesn't seem to care at all. Ya leaves. Then we see Susie at the hospital, where she comes to talk to the doctor about Arshan, and the doctors explain things to her. Then, she will never be able to become a mom if she does this, so she should think it over again and also ask the child's dad. So Susie also starts thinking about whether she should tell Shane about this. Then she calls Shane and tells him, brother is in the hospital. So he rushes there quickly and asks, why are you here at the hospital alone? He asks, are you having stomach pain? Susie is about to tell him everything when, just then, Shane's stepsister arrives. Seeing Shane with Susie, she starts saying, isn't she your ex-wife? Then Shane doesn't say much to Fung and quickly grabs Susie's hand, bringing her to the car and making her sit inside. And then here, Hussein gets a message from his sister Frank. She starts telling him, little brother, you're still way behind when it comes to winning that girl's heart. Think about it. Even with all your power, it's not doing you any good. After all, that girl has still rejected you. Shane just keeps looking at Susie because she's avoiding his gaze. Then, after coming home, he meets her and brings her a glass. And he should think that he shouldn't ruin his relationship with her and Fan, and shouldn't come between them. Then next time we see that Shane takes Susie with him to a party, and when Susie is alone there, Hana tries to insult her. But instead, Susie exposes him in front of everyone and plays a recording for all to hear, in which it's clearly heard that Hana himself admits how he caused Susie's accident. She exposes him. revealing just how terrible he really is. Then Hana says, "Is this some kind of doctored recording? No one should believe it after this," and claims, "This won't prove anything for you." Here, Susie also gives him a proper piece of her mind, and once again, he is about to raise his hand against her. But just then, Shane arrives in time and reveals that she is actually his ex-wife, so he could never even think of doing such a thing to her. Hana is shocked, as he had no idea about this. Susie's ex isn't just any ordinary man, it's Shane. He clarifies this in front of everyone, explaining that he was the one who kept his relationship with Susie a secret, and that Susie is actually a very good person. And then the police officers arrive to arrest them, because Shane has already provided them with evidence. After taking his revenge, Shane is discussing this with Susie, and she happily hugs him. Then Ocean also hugs her. In the next scene, we see that Ya has come to meet Ocean, but Chandu refuses her and says, "My boss likes Susie." This really shocks her, since Susie is his ex-wife. He explains that Susie has always been in Mr. Ocean's heart, and she still is. She starts shouting, "Mr. Shane, you have betrayed me." Shane then returns home, where Susie has prepared a wonderful dinner for him. At this point, something starts to happen, but Susie suddenly shocks him by saying that this is their last dinner together and that she is leaving, because now her revenge is complete. She has taken over her mother's company and will manage it well. She says that she is very happy about this and tells him that she is about to start a new life. She will begin living in another city. Saying this, she leaves. Then in the next scene, it is revealed that Cases is not even at home anymore. And just then, Mary DC says that they find her pregnancy test. After seeing this, they realize that Susie is going to be the mother of his child. He starts looking for her, but just then, Yahuwah stabs him with a knife. Shane is injured and ends up in the hospital. By the time Susie finds out, she rushes to the hospital, but he still hasn't regained consciousness. Susie regrets that because of her, he got hurt, so she leaves a letter for him and goes away. As she leaves, she remembers that Shane's assistant had told her everything, that he really liked Susie and was planning to propose to her. Later, when Shane regains consciousness in the hospital, he finds Susie's letter. He wants to go meet Susie, but his sister stops him, saying that his own condition isn't good yet. Then a few months pass, and we see that Susie is living in another city, where she has made some good friends. One day, they start talking about some news, in which Mr. Shane and his sister, Miss Feng, are being discussed. The two of them are now running the company together. Hearing about this, Susie is shocked to learn that Fang was actually his sister. Then she becomes happy, and finally, Shane arrives after searching for Susie, so the two of them are looking at each other. Then, all of Susie's friends arrive to beat up Shane and say, "This is your access band, the one who betrayed you. We won't let him go." So Susie quickly stops them and explains that she misunderstood. Then Susie finally discusses her misunderstanding with Frishin. Did he really? Whether she misunderstood and thought that he was still in a relationship with another girl. She says, "I made a mistake." She also confesses her feelings to him. Then Shane tells her that even before the divorce, he already liked her. Finally, all the issues between them are resolved, and they hug each other. At that moment, Susie's friends see all this and are happy, thinking that it looks like the two of them will get married again. And with this, we have a happy ending to this drama.